Welcome, Melodie Kahl, to the Medtech Women Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. So could you tell me a bit more about your current role and what actually led you up to founding the consultancy KAHLITY?
Thank you, Jess. So first, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I'm very happy to be part of it. So I'm owning my consulting company, KAHLITY GmbH, in Basel, Switzerland. We are providing services in quality assurance, regulatory affairs, and project portfolio and program management in the medical devices and pharmaceutical industries. So there are currently 6 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees at KAHLITY, and also a few partnerships with recruiters and consulting companies. So on my side, I have a Master of Science in Quality Management and also an Executive MBA in Sustainable Business that I did at the Business School of Lausanne and the University of St. Gallen.
Okay, perfect. And so what were some of your initial roles? What led you up to the consultancy? How did you begin?
So when I started in the business, my motivation was really to do something that contributes to improve people's health and life. Yeah. So I started initially my career as a biomedical engineer in military hospitals. And then I worked a few years in the dental industry and also the IVD industry before starting my consulting business.
Okay, perfect. And so what made you want to join the industry? Was it just the fact that you wanted to help people, or was there other factors that played into it?
Yeah, so I really had mentioned wanted to contribute to improve people's health, and also I wanted to do my own business because I wanted to take my own decisions. I'm very independent in the way I'm working, I'm quite a hard worker, and I wanted to really do and understand everything from the identification of customer needs to customer satisfaction.
Okay, perfect. And when you first started out in the industry, did you have many female role models that you could look up to?
So I have 2 role models, and they are my parents. So they are my parents because they were the best in what they did. So my mother, she went to the Olympic Games in volleyball. And my father, he's a general in the health division of the French army. So they were always there to support me. They believed in me even more than myself, and they were giving me the best advices, like if they were always next to me and knew what to say at which moment. Also, my mother has a volleyball player. She has very competitive and strategic mindset. So that inspired me a lot. I think I always admire people who both succeed in sports and business. I also like in general to be surrounded by successful people because they give me strength and help me to develop my motivation.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you deal with a lot of consultants day to day. How is the gender balance with them? Do you see many female consultants?
Yes, I have met women who are consultants working for consulting companies. I have also met women who are owning their consulting business. And also up to now, most of my consultants were also women. But in overall, if I compare, there may be a little bit more men than women in the consulting business. But I don't see that as an issue because I don't think there should be more men or more women being consultants. It's more like a matter of choice and preference. I always tell my consultant that being a consultant is very different than being a permanent employee in a medical devices or pharmaceutical company, because as a consultant, the client always comes first. And as an employee in a medical devices or pharma company, what comes first are the values of the company.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you mentioned you feel like there may be more men within the consultancy industry, but have you seen a change in more women entering the industry over the years?
Yes, so there is definitely a good gender diversity in the industry.
Yeah,
And I think what is more important than gender diversity is inclusion of women in leadership teams.
yeah,
So that is even more important. I can see over the years more women in the leadership teams. I think it has also something to do with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. Many companies committed, many multinationals committed to follow these goals. And we
yeah,
can see it publicly in the corporate sustainability reports. And among these goals, there's a goal on gender equality. And in our industry, we can contribute to help reach this goal by two things. First is making no difference of salary between men and women. So that means women
yeah,
should also demand the same salary as men. And the
yeah,
second is to empower women to reach leadership roles. But I
yeah,
think in overall, I still don't like the fact that when a woman is in a leadership team, we highlight she is a female leader. We
yeah,
would rarely say for a man he is a male leader. So I think we should just remove female in front of leader and just speak about leaders in general, whatever the gender, because the most important, it's the personality and the competency of a leader, not the
yeah.
gender. That means a company could have more women in a leadership team and vice versa, more men in a leadership team. It should not matter.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually been studies to prove that if you have a more diverse team, your company is more likely to do better. Um, but so what actually made you want to start your own consultancy? I know you mentioned you had a strong role model in both your parents and maybe it was your upbringing, but what made you want to take that next step?
So I felt like I could do a lot. I could feel like I was very curious and had a
Hmm.
lot of potential I wanted to really develop. And has mentioned, I wanted really to take my own decisions and to try everything, to
Yeah,
understand and learn everything from the beginning, so the customer needs and to the customer satisfaction. Initially, it was about 10 years ago. So initially I thought, okay, let's give it a try. I give myself like 1 year and see how it goes. And it went very well. So that's why I wanted to learn more about business and business development. So that's why I did my executive MBA at the Business School of Lausanne. And that helped me
yeah.
to really have the a good roots to build my business.
Okay, perfect. And do you feel like you've had to work any harder than any male counterparts to get where you are today?
No, I think my male counterparts also worked hard.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
even I even had some male colleagues who told me they admired my courage to start my business alone, because
yeah,
initially it was only me, and they thought, even they told me they thought of doing it themselves, but they did not do it. So what I think what was hard, maybe not hard but challenging, was my age in the beginning,
okay, yeah,
because there's like a biased idea, which is the older you are, the better are your consulting services,
yeah.
and this is not true. And I worked hard to prove I was right.
And you're doing a very good job of it.
Thank you.
So I understand you do the MDR training. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how have you found the changes with the MDR?
Yeah, so there is so much to say about MDR. It has a huge impact on the industry, a lot of work for manufacturers, distributors, consultants, notified bodies, authorities, importers. So in overall, the MDR has a real focus on risk. And this
Yeah,
is one of the big purposes of our industry, to provide safe devices to customers. It's also, I see it also as an opportunity for legal manufacturer to review their product portfolio and maybe phase out products to better focus on new product development and innovation. And yes, I think if a few years ago, when we needed to be compliant only with the MDD, it was not seen so hard to place products on the European market. But now things are changing. Yeah. And in addition to the MDR, there's the Brexit. So that means we need to have a UK rep to sell our devices in the UK. And we will be in somehow a similar situation in Switzerland, because Switzerland and Europe are still negotiating their mutual recognition agreements, but it's likely the result is likely going to be that Switzerland will become a third country. So that means maybe it will be temporary. That's not fully decided yet, but that means for a certain time, when we have products, medical devices on the Swiss market, we will need to have a Swiss rep. So this is adding even more to the complexity of the MDR. And yes, I think it's the beginning, because the more we are developing our products, getting better, more performant products, the regulation needs to be adapted and flexible with the changes in the market.
And you train people on that, so
exactly, yes.
So what do you think will be the next big thing within the medical technology? I've heard a lot of people say like data science. So what do you think is going to be next?
Yes, so the next big thing, it already started. The next big thing will be artificial intelligence. I think with AI, we can reduce the risk of medical errors and misdiagnosed illness. Also, AI can diagnose and predict disease faster than medical professionals, because it's using deep learning and algorithms. So there are a lot of opportunities to grow and change. And of course, the regulation will follow and will continue to be updated with all these changes. So the MDR it's just the beginning. And this is why I always advise my clients that their quality management system should be a living system, a simple system, and flexible. This is the basis, very important.
So what's one piece of advice that you've really held on to during your career?
So that piece of advice was, if you do not use your potential, you waste your time. And it was from a friend with a successful career. And honestly, I took that advice very seriously, because it made me want to start my business. So I had that advice before starting my business, and then it gave me a good reason to start it almost 10 years ago. So yes, I thought, let's do it and give it a chance.
It's a good piece of advice. So do you have any advice that you could give to women wanting to start their own company or their own consultancy?
Yes, I would say be determined, be confident, and work with passion. Also, the values, like our own values, are very important, are keys. Like, for example, my values are respect, trust, customer satisfaction, partnership, and professionalism. So when I am facing a challenging situation, or when I am in doubt, I would always think about my values before taking a decision. And this is what integrity means to me. So it's the same when we work for a company. We need to compare our values with the company's values, because it has to be compatible. Because in a company, every underlying conditions of the decisions are the values. So we really need to be connected to our values and the company's values.
That's perfect. So is there anything else you'd like to add? Any last pieces of advice, any words of wisdom or you could give to round this off?
I think in overall, we should be a bit less competitive and more focused on collaboration and partnership. I'm not saying competition is bad. I'm just saying a healthy competition can be a good source of motivation, but I think also that we have better opportunities to grow together by building strong and sustainable partnerships.
Yeah.
So this is also one of my biggest achievements. It's to really develop these strong and sustainable partnerships over the years. I think, yes, we can do much more together by supporting each other.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today and taking the time to speak to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you very much for welcoming me.
Oh, no problem.